Hi there, Eric again for togetherlearning.com, and I'm going to be continuing a series that I've been doing lately around elements of graphic design. And in this video, we're going to talk about how we communicate using images, specifically digital images, and some concepts that we can think about to help us think a little bit more deeply about the images and colors and design that we use when we input them into our websites or our flyers or any graphical art that we might use. We're going to think about the images and what we're trying to communicate with them with these concepts today. So in this short video, this is an overall series called the Graphic Design Basics, and I'm Eric from togetherlearning.com. So in this series, we're going to talk about images and shapes and color, digital color, maybe some typography and composition, all the basic fundamental concepts that you'll want to know when you are getting into graphic design, whether it be for digital media or new media or making websites, what have you. But today, and specifically, we're going to talk about images. So what do we want to do when we communicate with pictures? Interesting about this is as we are moving towards the future, we're using pictures more and words less with our communications. Things like emojis, you count the average number of words and letters on a website compared to 5-10 years ago, and it's decreasing because we're communicating internationally between cultures, and we are choosing stock images over a description. We're trying to portray feelings in our advertising, and we're going to have to think about not only the images that we choose to put on our graphic design, to put in our websites, because it tells a story and it's saying so much more than that we think a lot of the times. And not only that, this will help us when we look at other pieces of art or other digital media or websites, what have you. We can have a few tools, concepts in mind to try to analyze them and kind of figure out what emotional strings they're trying to pull in us with the images that they chose. So in this video particularly, I'd like to talk about how we denote and connotate with our images. And this concept of denotative and connotative, when we think about the different portrayals of images in our media, we can really start to dig in and think deeper about what kind of image and what are we trying to communicate with the pictures, photography, and images that are displayed in our designs. So first, let's talk about denotative, and then we'll compare that with connotative. It's a literal representation. So if you take some of these images to the side here, you have a cup, a key, a shoe, a balloon. And if you think about these things, you can't, just looking at these images, you don't really think of about a whole lot else other than what the thing is, right? You see a picture of a cup, you think cup. See a picture of a key, you think key, balloon, shoe, etc., etc. I'm already this a little bit connotative though because of the colors I've chosen for this. These are all red, and that might stir up some feelings or different emotions, or have you associate extra meaning to that. But that's not what denotative is. Denotative images are when you see a picture or when you represent something, you think that's it. It's a literal thing that you're thinking of. So these images that I chose here, I'm trying to best represent a denotative image that denotes the actual thing, not any extra meaning. So it's a cup, it's a key, it's a shoe, it's a balloon. Does that make sense? maybe not. I'm going to give a couple more examples as we go along here. But just remember, a denotative image is a literal representation. It is what it is without any extra meaning. Okay, let's look at something else here. So let's go back to the cup, right? It's this essence, the idea of it, the item you're representing. A lot of times it's an item because it's easiest to represent an item by just showing the item. A lot of times when you want to show a person, they have all these extra things associated with them, their facial expression, their clothing, their background, how many people are around them. Their mood is represented in their body posture, so many other things, and we pull extra meaning out of that. So it's really hard to get a denotative picture of a person. So a denotative picture of a man, this might be a stick figure that you see before you go into the restroom. So a denotative, another way to think about this is it's showing the essence of that thing. So back to the cup, you just see a cup. You see it from the side. You don't know what's in it. So you don't really think about maybe drinking or liquid, or sometimes in America, this kind of cup is associated with party or kegs or beers or something like that, but not in Asian cultures. So it's pretty void of extra meaning other than cup. So it's a picture of a cup. You think cup, it's the essence of cup. It doesn't have any extra meaning, so therefore it's a denotative image. Right? All right. So let's try to kind of push this to the edge of our understanding of it. So we have a cup. The last image was just a cup. It's supposed to be just an image of a cup. But now I've added a few extra cups. And so there's an arrangement of cups, plural. So there's 6 cups now. So now, do you think cup or cups when you see these? Because they're arranged in some fashion? You might think of something else now, because someone obviously has taken the time to arrange these. These aren't how cups are usually found in a kitchen, or where if you wanted to grab a cup out of a cupboard, or you have some cups laying around on a table or a kitchen for people to drink out of. This is not a normal arrangement of the cups, so it makes you think a little bit deeper, and you're starting to communicate some extra meaning here. There's not much yet, but this is taking just a little bit step towards away from denotative and towards connotative with our communication with images. So maybe you might think, I think a circus game, or playing or building something like a make-believe play. Like I have a 4-year-old daughter, and we might be playing castle or something, or pretending to build something like a sand castle or something like that. So the arrangement of the item, the camera angle of the item, can already start to connotate, which is the opposite of denotate, an image. It could add some extra meaning, some extra feeling to that image. So we're moving away from denotative and moving towards connotative in these examples. So this is not a literal representation of a cup per se. It's more thinking about how cups can be arranged, and it starts you thinking not just of the cup, but of some other possibilities and other meanings. So we're starting to move away from denotative. Again, when I talk about all these examples, these are very subjective. All right, it's in the eye of the beholder with all the meanings that are represented in this. So, like I said before, a cup might be just a cup to some cultures or some groups of people, but to others, that red cup might mean something different. Maybe if you're from a North America and culture, you, like I said, represent that cup with a party or something like that. Okay, let's look at another example. All right, now we're going to take that cup and even take it a step further away from saying it's a cup, and we're going to move that camera angle up and look down into the cup. And now we've added a spoon to it, and we've added what looks like coffee inside the cup. So now when you look at this image, because now you're not looking at it from the side, we can actually see into the cup. The cup is a little bit different now because it's obviously a coffee cup, and it has a spoon here. Do you think cup when you see this image? Maybe not. You might think coffee. So if you want to denote coffee, this is probably something better to represent. But um, when you think cup, looking over the edge, obviously there's a cup here. You might think cup, but then it's really hard to get the essence of what this image is because now there's a spoon here. You might be thinking some sort of arrangement for a cafe somewhere, some fancy cafe with a nice, beautiful red table or something like that. So you start thinking about other things, possibly coffee, relaxing cafe, something like that. So we're starting again to move further away from denoting cup. Now we're thinking about other things that are mixing in here with our image and our communication of it. Right. So now here's some steps again to kind of reiterate what we're seeing here. So we have a red cup, right? Then we take the color out of it and we represented it more like an icon, more like a symbol. Then we're starting to move away from denoting cup, thinking cup, and we're starting to think about other things. And even a step further where we move the camera angle and we see stuff inside of the cup, we start thinking less about cup and we start thinking more about extra meanings or extra possible ways that this picture might be trying to communicate to us. So I look at this one and it's a little more abstract. There's a little more things happening inside of here. So I'm thinking coffee, I'm thinking break time maybe, I'm thinking not necessarily cup anymore because there's a special design involved with it. And so I hope you're starting to get to understand that to connotate something means to add extra meaning to that physical representation of that image. So this is a denotation of cup. This is more of a connotation of coffee or relaxation or break time or something like that. Maybe if I take it a step further, you'll even understand even better. Right? What if I rearrange these? Back to the example of the cup. Now I've arranged it and I've added that little ping pong ball. So if you're from North America or you went to college, this might be something like a pong game that's often associated with these cups. So now just adding that extra ball brings in other images and a whole different meaning to these cups. So now we're trying to connotate different things with it. Now adding some action to it. Now you can see liquid flying out of the cup. The ball is there. When you see this image, you're not thinking cup. You're thinking what's happening here. This is very dramatic. Lots of action happening. You're thinking spill. You're thinking energy, perhaps. Some other feelings are starting to come about by looking at this image. So it's starting to connotate extra things, starting to communicate things beyond what's represented in this photo. So you're not thinking ping pong ball, you're not thinking cup, you're thinking maybe a ball is being thrown, something's being spilt. So extra meaning. That's when we connotate things, extra meaning. The more examples we have, the better I think we understand this. So now we have that cup again. And I think this is probably the furthest away from thinking cup because obviously this is a cup, but now we have some coffee beans here. We photoshopped in some nice aromas. So now we're thinking the smell of a cafe. For me, the smell of coffee is more than half of the enjoyment of drinking a cup of coffee is the wonderful aroma and scent of coffee. So now we can almost smell coffee when we look at this image. We can almost think, oh, what a relaxing time. We're not thinking cup anymore at all because the coffee beans are here. We know that some sort of artisanal coffee situation is happening here. And we are getting signals. We're being communicated to that there are extra feelings and meanings involved with this image. Not just cup, not just coffee, but now we're thinking relaxation. Now we're thinking break time. Now we're thinking when's the next time I'm going to be able to go to a Starbucks and relax, etc., etc. So now we're starting to really get to the connotative end of images. Again, this is very subjective and it could mean different things to different people. And that's what's so wonderful about thinking about this, because having this simple concept of denotate and connotate will really help us think a little bit deeper about the images that we choose for our websites and graphic design, because it's becoming increasingly important what these images convey to people, because it's almost subliminal in many senses. Advertisers think about this very deeply. Right. So let's review here. A connotative image, to connotate something, is not the thing represented. It's some extra meaning, some extra feeling, something extra is being communicated through that image other than what's shown there. So instead of a cup, you think relax. Instead of coffee, you think break time, right? And on the opposite end, a denotative image is a literal representation of that thing. You see a cup, you think cup. You see a computer, you think computer. You're not necessarily, thinking about extra meanings or possible extra. You're not trying to decipher extra possible communications that are coming from that image. So when you go to choose images for your website or your graphic design, now you have an extra lens to which to view your images and think about, what is this denoting? Do I want to show a shoe? Do I want to show a thing and represent it as that thing to denote it? Or does this image have extra meaning associated with it? And perhaps you have a mood or an image you want to brand with your website or graphic design. Maybe you're advertising or promoting an event that's supposed to be very lively or energetic. So you want to think, what images can I show that connotates those feelings, those emotions, so people can get that essence, can get that communication of that feeling, can be represented and shown to people. Right? That's okay. I think that's probably, hopefully you got it. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try to help you with other examples perhaps in the future. But that was denotative and connotative images and how we communicate with images as a tool to help us understand what we're trying to say when we choose pictures for our graphic design. It's Eric Hawkinson for Together Learning. We'll see you next time. Bye now.